What's up everybody, this is BR and Season 14 just dropped and it is one hell of a time. And I'd very much like to share some of my first impressions. First off, I'd like to say that the changes to Kings Canyon are amazing. The map looks beautiful, the lighting has been vastly improved. It almost looks like the Kings Canyon from the Season 2 trailer. Unfortunately, Storm Point is sticking around for another season, replacing Olympus, but man, I kinda wish we had Olympus for another season. Fortunately, we have Kings Canyon as the first half map, so even if we get stuck with Storm Point in casual matchmaking, we can always turn on to Kings Canyon for a couple rounds of ranked. Now, there have been a lot of changes and modifications to weapons and other things in the game, and while I might like to talk about all of them, I'm only going to focus on what I think are the most important changes, or at least significant enough to make me talk about them. First off, my beloved 3030 has been improved even more with dual shell now as a part of its default kit. And with Skull Piercer being attachable to the 3030, I feel like this season really is going to be dominated by this gun. Now, personally, I think that us 3030 enjoyers should receive something special from Respawn for believing in this weapon since day one, but I think these changes and upgrades are kind of a good compromise. The most interesting change has to be the Wingman being turned into a sniper weapon, which doesn't make sense in any way, but hey, in terms of balancing, at least having less reserve ammo would do that weapon a little bit of justice in terms of nerfs. Now, the Wingman has always been dominating and a change has been warranted for a long time, but this change was extremely unexpected. Even so, I'm glad that Respawn is able to take these kinds of risks with their game, just like with changing the Spitfire into a light ammo gun, effectively reducing its stopping power. The Bocek bow being turned into a care package weapon is going to be great for all of us who hate the Bocek spam, but when somebody does actually get the Bocek and knows how to use it, it can become a little annoying. Thankfully, the G7 Scout is back on the ground, and I feel like it's actually a lot stronger than it was ever before, but of course that could just be me. However, I do feel that it is a lot more effective for whatever reason. The Valkyrie nerfs were extremely warranted. Valkyrie is just one of those characters that was just annoying to fight against if they had any kind of vertical positioning, because you really couldn't fight against it with their on-demand VTOL jets. In my opinion, Valkyrie just does too much for a single legend, but who knows, I don't think they're ever going to actually take away anything from her kit, so at least these nerfs are a nice little change of pace. I'm also glad that Newcastle is getting a lot more buffs. He was relatively weak last season, but I feel like that's only because, Respawn thought that he was going to be a lot more overpowered. Thankfully he wasn't, and hopefully Newcastle only becomes better with time. I think an underpowered legend fares a lot more better with the community compared to something overpowered like Seer, who I am surprised didn't receive any nerfs because of how powerful he is in ALGS, but we're only going to have to see with time, maybe next season. Finally, it's time to get to the topic that we've been waiting for. Vantage. What do I think of Vantage? Well, she's actually in a pretty nice state. Her movement ability isn't totally whack, and her sniper rifle is a lot more balanced than I thought it would be. Or at least, in certain situations. I think the number one situation where I think Vantage is a little bit overpowered, or at the very least extremely annoying, is the fact that her sniper rifle basically is a third-party finisher. Now, this could be because I was playing duos for the majority of this first day, but having an on-demand sniper that doesn't take up a weapon slot really does come in handy when you're third-partying a team that's already fighting each other. That 2-bullet ramp up from 50 to 100 is a little nutty, and especially effective when you're trying to down somebody post-fight. You can watch a fight happen from across the map and then just finish off whoever survives. I do think that's where Vantage is the strongest. She really doesn't fare so well close quarters, though her bat does give her some mobility to have that fighting potential. But really, who knows? We're gonna have to wait until the mid-season to find out whether or not Vantage really is overpowered at the moment. But in my opinion, she's kind of in a good spot. I just think in that one situation, it could be definitely toned down. I would probably suggest there be one less bullet, even if it means that the ultimate charges a lot faster. So that way you can't just third-party a squad from across the map. In conclusion, playing as her is extremely fun and effective when you need it most, in the right situation. And fighting against her isn't too frustrating except for that one situation. So far this season seems to be on an upward trajectory. I think a lot of the changes are positive, or at the very least somewhat neutral. At least it spices things up by changing a lot of the core fundamental things about Apex. I especially like the small little changes in UI that makes the game feel a lot more polished. Anyways, that is all I have for today. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Tell me your opinion about this new season in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, consider subscribing, and if you'd like to support me, my Patreon is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.